Welcome everybody to the IncGamers Podcast with me, Peter Parrish, and Tim McDonald. Tim McDonald, hello.
Hello.
And Paul Younger. Paul Younger, hello.
Hello.
Oh, that was swift, wasn't it? Look at that.
That was horrifying. I feel like I should now just talk about something completely unrelated just to keep us off topic for a bit longer, because we normally go on for a few minutes before rushing into anything even remotely relevant.
Alright, Tim, have you had a good week? Anything good that you've done? Probably played a lot of video games, I would imagine. That's what I've been doing.
Yeah. I've been playing a bit of Dark Souls, but we'll probably talk about that later on.
Okay, first one, alright. Got you, Paul? Good week? Yeah.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Oh, wait, actually, yeah, I know. I know that you've had a good week.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Not sure if that's sarcasm or not.
Yeah.
It's the IncGamers Podcast. Of course it's sarcasm.
Every part of the... Just assume anything we say is sarcasm, unless notified otherwise. Hey, let's go back to the 1980s. Ronald Reagan, Thatcher, terrible things. But also some good video games, because I noticed that a lot of the news this week curiously related to games of yore and times past. Stuff I was writing yesterday, there was... Julian Gollop has launched a Kickstarter for Chaos Reborn, which is a new version of Chaos from 1985, I think. Then Warner Brothers popped up and said, hey, we're remaking Gauntlet, which I wasn't that interested in until I found out that Arrowhead were developing it, and then I became a lot more interested, because of Magicka, of course. And then there was also an Elite Dangerous docking video, which might have brought back nightmares to some people who tried to dock ships in Elite in the 1980s, because that was certainly a problem for me.
That was probably the single hardest thing in Elite. In fact, that pretty much propels Elite into the realms of being the hardest space game ever made.
Pretty much. It had a weird inverse difficulty curve, where as soon as you got the docking computer, it was a piece of piss. But for the first couple of hours, Jesus, man. Curious resurgence. Paul, which one interests you most of those three? If you had to choose.
Ooh, that's a really tough one.
He doesn't care about any of them, Peter. He doesn't
I know he
what
cares
Chaos
about
is.
Elite.
No, look,
They know what Chaos is. Gauntlet is action-y, so that's not his sort of thing.
No.
In Elite, he's got Star Citizen that he's already paid for.
Look, the 80s are my informative years. This is why I'm here, because of the 1980s. Damn you, Sir Clive. But I don't know. I like you, wasn't that bothered about Gauntlet, but then I saw, as you say, Arrowhead doing it, and quite like Magicka, and I think it could be very cool, actually. I'm actually looking forward to it. If you think about all the ARPGs today, they can all have a little, tie in with Gauntlet to some degree. But then there's Elite, and I don't know. The more I see of it, the more I like it. The only thing that really pisses me off about Elite is the ridiculous pricing options they have for backing. I think the alpha is like £200 or something. It's a bit crazy, but so that's where Star Citizen obviously comes out on top there, because it's a lot cheaper to get in on the alpha. But yeah, I agree with you on the docking thing. From what I can remember of it, nightmare.
Yeah. What alpha is that, Paul? The Star Citizen alpha, does that exist yet?
Oh, shut up, Tim. It's a thing. It's a thing. It is a thing.
This week they said that they had some amazing AI for
Yeah.
the dogfighting that isn't out yet. So look forward to that.
Yeah, we saw there was.
Third party.
I watched the video for that yesterday, and there was like a bunch of little ships kind of fighting each other and going through an asteroid field and stuff. And I thought, well, I'm not doing that yet.
I'm looking forward to that coming out in 2017. The dogfighting thing, I mean, because this year what we're probably going to get is AI for the hangar.
What fish? I know there'll be AI for the fish. There'll be fish AI in the tank. The fish in the tank lab.
Oh yeah, of course.
It'll have
ported over from Call of Duty Ghosts.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the most revolutionary fish AI. Although I have seen a video that compares it with the fish AI from Mario 64, and Mario 64 comes out on top. So I'm not sure how revolutionary that fish AI really was.
Well, let's face it, Mario 64 is a genuinely revolutionary game.
Yeah. ahead of its time with the fish.
Fuck off! It's got Mario in it. I fucking hate Mario.
That's because you're terrible at Mario games, Paul.
I'm not terrible.
You decided, having not played them, that they were for children.
Yeah.
Then you did play them once or twice, died repeatedly, and then decided you didn't like them.
I had a bad day.
Mario Dark Souls, Paul.
Yeah, it was the roguelike Mario that I was playing.
Which one's that?
I don't know. I can't even remember what it was. It was something on the Wii children's console.
So that's Batman and Mario that you hate, Paul. Jesus, man.
Yeah, Mario was in a Batman suit. I hate him.
So as soon as there's a Mario Batman crossover, that's just a living nightmare for you. Tim, out of those 3 games, going back to some subject that I mentioned a while ago, which one are you most interested in? Assuming that Chaos Reborn gets made, of course, because that's a Kickstarter. So
this is true. I don't know, part of me wants to say Gauntlet, if only because Arrowhead are doing it, but I've got to say Chaos, really, because Chaos was brilliant in terms of being a competitive multiplayer turn-based thing in which you really made other people cry with magic. It was great. Actually, yeah, Arrowhead should be doing Chaos.
Yeah, they should, actually. Maybe they can do some consultancy work on it. Yeah, I loved Chaos. I played the hell out of Chaos. I think I got it on a Your Sinclair cover tape.
Yes.
That's right, kids. They used
Cover
to have
tapes.
sellotape to the front of magazines, if you can imagine such a thing. Yeah, it was great. You had this like single screen black arena. You had 8 wizards, or upwards of 8 wizards. It was best with 8. You each had a little, well, not even a corner of the screen, because sometimes you were kind of in the middle of the sides, because there wasn't enough room, obviously, because there's only 4 corners. And yeah, you would cast creatures, chuck magic bolts at people, set fire to things. I like the fire one, actually. It would just like gradually spread throughout the map until you had like half of the screen covered with burning death, which is quite good.
What was the sequel? Because I think I spent a bit more time with that on the Atari ST than I did with the original. But I can't remember.
Yeah, the one that had more sort of expansive maps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, I preferred the original, but I played the sequel more.
I feel like it's called like Lords of Chaos or something.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I was thinking Return to Chaos, but no, that was
good too.
Sorry?
That was good too, but I liked the sort of pressure of the single screen, like, because you're literally about 6 squares away from each of your nearest opponents from the very beginning, which put a lot of pressure on you at the start. And of course, the best mechanic is that you can cast any creature automatically if you choose to make it an illusion. But that means that someone else can cast Disbelieve on it and make it disappear, and then you look silly. But it's great. I love Chaos.
There was actually a spell called Disbelieve.
Mm-hmm.
There's just something about that. That should just be an action rather than a spell.
And if this one has online multiplayer, which it's saying it will, it'll be easier than playing it as a group huddled around a spectrum where you had to make people go away for a bit while you were choosing your spell. Otherwise, they could be like,
"Leave the room, leave."
Yeah. You're just casting that as an illusion. I can see you.
I can't remember how we used to handle that. I think we normally had, this wasn't that, but with other turn-based hot seat games. I think we had like another game of something else, like on a console on the TV. So there was one person at the PC doing their turn, everyone else was just playing something else at the time.
Except for the person who is inevitably cheating and watching.
Yes.
Well, staying, I guess, in the sort of not distant past, but recent-ish past, this podcast never avoids an opportunity to talk about Peter Molyneux, and he's re-emerged again. Apparently Godus is amazing now. I have no way of checking this, so I don't know, but he says it's amazing now.
He would say that, though, wouldn't he? He's Peter Molyneux.
He says Fable 3 wasn't that good, but Godus, man, is just going to be brilliant. So check back in a couple of years when his next game is the most amazing game, and Godus was rubbish.
I feel sorry for the guy that won the cube thing. You know, the guy who's supposed to be able to influence what happens in Godus, and that poor guy's going to be waiting until he's like 25, right? Until he gets any revenue from it.
What was that prize? And is it different now that the game's kind of changed? Or were you going to be like a god in Godus? Or...
Yeah, he was going to be basically be able to influence.
Or the god.
Yeah, be able to influence something, and you'd also get revenue from the game for a period of time or something. Oh, you ain't getting any revenue yet, mate.
No. Well, maybe he's got some early access money or something.
Well, maybe Peter Molyneux just gave him a free copy on Steam. Like, there you go.
So basically, the Curiosity Prize was like one of our Steam giveaways, effectively.
Yeah.
But worse, because you only get Godus.
and you didn't have to chip away at your bloody cube for 8 months, making cocks and whatever else people were drawing in it.
Have either of you, I kind of doubt you have, but have either of you played the updated Godus at all?
You know what, I totally forgot about it. I think Tim and I played it when it first came out, and we were both kind of like, what? Literally what? Look, we're clicking purple bubbles continuously, and it is really, really tedious. And I think that was something left over from the cube. I think basically they just wanted people to keep clicking things. They thought, oh, the cube worked. We'll make loads of money off this. We'll get them to click purple spheres. But I haven't gone back to it simply from the fact that it was a little bit soul destroying, and I haven't. Oh, it's Peter Molyneux, man. I don't trust the man. I just don't. Even with his turtleneck, I don't trust him.
He's very predictable and easy to read, though. You just see what he says and then assume that it's not true, or the opposite, and apply that. Yeah, Tim, did you? It is updated again now, right? This is what he was talking about, or is it an upcoming update? Oh, it's out now.
It's out now. It's 2.0. I to be perfectly honest with you, I have no idea what they've changed in it. I will have to go and have a look. I have been intrigued to try and get to it this week, but other things have been taking my time up. But I'm sure both Tim and I will have a look at it at some point again.
I am never going to have time to look at it again.
Or is it you just don't want to look at it again?
No, I'd quite like to fire it up. I just don't think I'm going to get the time to do that in any time, in the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I have that feeling about a lot of games as well.
No, damn it. I'll try and have a look at it then, with the 50 billion other things that I'm trying to look at.
Well,
at the moment.
I don't own Godus, so that is slightly prohibitive for me. I'm not going to buy it. So
yeah, you were the smart one.
Why? Did you guys buy it, or did you get?
Yeah, I backed it. For which I have no backers rewards. If they were sent anything out to anybody, I got nothing. So there you go.
Right. Well, to be fair, the stuff I've backed, none of it's actually out yet. So, well, Wasteland 2 is getting pretty close. So there we go. Anyway, GOG, they've reversed regional pricing. I think recently they said, we're going to have to do more regional pricing because publishers have told us to or something. But anyway, they've come out and said, look, that's kind of against our ethos and against the spirit of the store. So now, what are they doing, Paul, now to make up regional?
God damn it, I knew you'd come to me. Basically, maybe it's because I wrote it. Basically, I think what they were going to do was make it the equivalent value of whatever region you were in. So, like, usually a lot of people play the system a bit, so you could buy it in dollars or whatever was cheaper for you. You could basically purchase the game in with exchange rates and so on. But they were going to kind of stop that, and you'd be able to only buy it in your currency. So you wouldn't be able to do this, play the system or look for a cheaper currency option. But that's kind of backfired, and they've kind of realised that offering DRM free is the priority for them. And so what they say is that, and you're absolutely right, it does sound like there is publisher pressure here, because what they say is that if we can't get it at that, if we can't get it to be region free, we will make up the difference so you can have it to be currency or region free, whatever, however you want to describe it. So I didn't describe that very well at all. That's really confusing.
They're doing store credit, basically, aren't they? So that if there is a region discrepancy that they can't get around, and it's $5 or whatever, then you get $5 in your GOG account.
But you will still be buying the games in your own currency. So but to the equivalent value of what the whatever. You know what? I think my head's going to explode. This is why I was shit at maths.
The point is, it's a really nice regional policy, and it's probably about the best possible solution that you can do if publishers, as it seems, are kind of going, oh, but we want this one to cost this here and this one to cost this. Yeah. Good for GOG.
You've got to hand it to GOG. I mean, at least in the few sort of decisions that they've had, that would have been game changing for them. They have always put it out to the community to get feedback on, and they have always gone with the popular consensus. Obviously, the easiest option for them was to basically cut out to the publishers and say, okay, then, well, if that's the way we can sell the stuff, that's the way we'll have to do it. Hats off to them. It's a bold move.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing, particularly considering that regional pricing really does utterly shaft certain regions. I mean, some of them, Brazil, most of South America, Russia, and so on, tend to get the better end of things on Steam, at least. But yeah, comparing regional pricing on Steam is a really dispiriting thing to do if you live in Europe. Because you are inevitably paying more than pretty much everybody else.
Even stuff like Blizzard are really bad for that, because you'll buy, say, the Reaper of Souls expansion will be the exact same price depending on where you are. So obviously, if you're buying it in dollars, you're getting it at a much better price. It's really a bit crap.
There is that, but I mean, it's even when it's smaller amounts, it just adds up. I mean, usually on Steam, I can't remember, I went and looked at a load of titles, and I think in general, discounting sort of the 15% tax, I think even without that, US prices are still around about another 10-15% cheaper. Which is just quite sad, because that's usually, that's on a full price game, you're talking, 4 or 5 quid maybe.
Yeah.
That's
really another game there, isn't it? I mean, basically.
Yeah. I don't like regional pricing, it's rubbish.
Yeah, so I thought what we need to do is we need to take GOG's regional pricing, we need to take Origin's quite curiously generous refund policy, and make a kind of digital platform super group out of these things, because that'd be great. You'd have a good refund policy, you'd have a good regional pricing policy, the ease of use of Steam, I guess. I was trying to think what Uplay could bring, and I was kind of coming up short, unfortunately.
Ubisoft games.
Yeah, I suppose so. Get Driver San Francisco. It's quite good.
Yeah, you get Driver San Francisco free when you sign up.
Yeah, there you go.
What's this about Origin's refund policy? Because I don't think I've heard anything good about Origin for a while. I'd like
you basically have like 24 hours in which to request a full refund, and they'll do it, no questions asked. I think there's also like a time played limit as well. So if you like blitz through a single player game in total in that time, they won't give you the money back. But it's pretty reasonable.
It's reasonable, except the fact that when I backed the Command and when I got on the Command and Conquer Alpha, and I basically, because I'm a big CNC fan, as you can see there, I bought that.
Well, that was just a warning for people near you, Paul.
yeah, that as well.
Nearby.
When I backed that basically to get on the alpha, I actually bought all the CNC collection, and then of course they canned the game. So that was obviously after the 24-hour period. So I already got all the CNC stuff. But now I've got it all again, but this time on Origin. But I couldn't get money back on that, so works sometimes, sometimes not.
Yeah, I mean, I really hate that, because I remember with the Xbox 360 when I bought Crackdown, and that gave you free access to the Halo 3 beta. And because I bought it several years after the Halo 3 beta, I couldn't get into the beta anymore, and I just thought that was disgusting.
It wasn't several years though, Tim. We're talking like a matter of days.
You're also talking beta access, though.
Still,
it's not a perfect system, but compared to Steam's slightly bizarre, we don't do any refunds. Oh, unless you pester our customer support enough and get the right person, then maybe we'll do one system.
It's not a question of pestering customer support. It's a question about making legal threats.
Yeah, that's right. You'd have to refer them back to the sort of European Union legislation or something, and then it might go, I guess there's a small chance you might be rich enough to bring a lawsuit against us. So, all right, you can have your money.
Yep.
It's kind of annoying, though. It's kind of annoying.
A little bit.
Yeah, maybe they should just have a policy in place, a bit like EA, who amazingly...
You know what? They could at least make it easier for their customers by having a section on the website that just lists the relevant laws for your region. So that when they say, no, I'm sorry, we don't offer refunds, you go, you look at this page on the website and go, well, according to European Union trade article whatever, in actual fact, you have to. And they go, oh, all right then.
I see you found us out. Yeah. And then they do that thing where like, oh, okay, but you can only have one. And I kind of wonder how well that would stand up, really. Well, why can you only have one? That doesn't make any sense. Is European trade legislation a one-use item, like from an RPG or something? Oh no, you've used it up now. You can't have it anymore. Anyway, hey, SimCity is now playable offline. Everyone, I learned today.
Yes. Yeah,
the update is
do you know what?
supposedly out.
I checked for that update last night and it wasn't out, and you obviously got it this afternoon. So I've been waiting for that to happen. It was about a week ago they teased that. Am I going to play it again? No. Not.
So that was well worth it then for you.
No, it's not worth it until I can get bigger cities. I'm sorry. That is the stumbling block for me. It will always be the stumbling block for me. It's too boring otherwise.
Well, now it's offline. You know, modding seems like more of an option. So
if someone mods it, so I can like build the whole region into one massive city, then I'd think about playing it again.
Or will you just play Banished instead?
No, I won't play Banished because after 20 hours, I'd basically be slitting my wrists because I'd be doing the same thing over and over again and then dying as the game cheats.
Oh.
Okay, so Banished is now a 4 out of 10, or possibly a 3 out of 10. Yeah, it sounds like you're going to be waiting for the sequel. Would you play? If someone did mod it so that you could have the whole region as one city, and then it turned out that EA and Maxis were actually telling the truth, and that no computer can even remotely handle this, would you still play it?
Even if it was running at 1 frame per second, Tim, I would persist. And I would just to prove the point, I would still play it.
Is 1 frame per second just an image, just a still image? Oh, I suppose that's 0 frames.
Yeah, it's a still image that changes 1 second later.
Okay.
But just quickly,
That's why the clue is in the number, Peter, because it's 1 frame per second. So every second there is one different frame.
Well, I wasn't sure it was one different frame. I thought maybe every second it was the same one.
Well, no, that's called static image.
Right.
But go back to.
But if you left the cursor alone, it would.
Oh, shut it!
But then that works for 60 frames per second too.
I would go back. I am going to go back to Banished definitely when the mod tools are released. But I'm not for now. I've had my fill of it. I think most people had after about a week and a half.
Right. Well, I've been further investigating this Dark Souls 2 lighting issue that may or may not be afflicting the PC version, trying to figure out what kind of crazy-ass PC version we're going to end up getting, because the Steam store page has trailers and screenshots and images showing all kinds of different builds that they've shown us over like the last year. So what we're going to end up with, I do not really know. I suspect it's going to be like the console version, but nicer resolution and 60 frames per second. But we might also get some nicer textures and stuff. It's really difficult to say because Namco aren't telling anyone until the game's out, which is really cool of them.
Have you actually, just out of interest, have you actually asked them about it?
Yes, and they won't tell me anything. they won't even reply or respond.
God, that's just shoddy.
Yeah, it's pretty shit, isn't it?
That's also a typical publisher standpoint.
The most I've seen anyone get out of them is like, "Hey, we'll look for some answers for you. We'll be ready to talk about that soon." It's like, fuck off! You know the answers. You know all what people are wanting to know. Just fucking tell us. Don't wait until your console sales tail off slightly, and then you're like, "Oh, let's try and get some PC sale boosts now."
Peter, are you sure that they actually know the answer? Because much as they are Namco Bandai, you are assuming competence on the part of people working for big companies.
Yeah, you're right. I'm possibly ascribing malice where incompetence might be more appropriate.
Yeah.
Especially as regards the sort of Steam images and stuff. The person doing that probably just collected a bunch of screenshots and shoved them in there. I had no idea that they're from different.
Is it not Bandai Namco now or something, or co-band Andy Boy?
Don't get started on that mainly bullshit.
Yeah. Anyway, having played the scary console version of Dark Souls 2, I can say that you do still have to use torches and stuff, so it's not completely missing from the game. That whole mechanic, it is still in there to an extent.
When you said you were investigating Dark Souls 2's lighting issues, did you actually think you were playing Dark Souls 2 on console?
Yes. I had to do quite a thorough investigation, and it's still ongoing.
Yeah,
most evenings at length. But I'm hoping to find out some very interesting things by doing that. No, well, you know, I am curious though how the PC version will end up. It's kind of a shame, this whole thing, because it's an outstanding game, but I am quite pissed off about the way that they've kind of misled people about a few things, possibly through incompetence. It's irritating. They're lucky that their game is probably one of the best games ever, because it means most people won't really care ultimately.
So what you're unfortunately, because this is you and you are a spiteful little so-and-so, I'm assuming that the highest rating the PC version is likely to get is 6 out of 10.
Doesn't have nice lighting, you're getting a 4. No, but you know what I mean, like,
isn't that just mainstream publications review policy? Doesn't have nice lighting, low score. Graphics aren't great, 3 out of 10.
I was just thinking about like Aliens Colonial Marines, which quite rightly got absolutely slated for its bait and switch. But you see the difference there was that was a reprehensibly terrible game, whereas this one's going to be amazing no matter what. So.
Yeah, that was more them tricking people into buying a shit game, whereas this one is. I think everybody's probably going to buy this anyway, and by all accounts, it's a really good game anyway.
Tricking people into buying something really good. That's why it makes no sense. Why are you even bothering to try and trick people? There's no need.
Probably because there is a contingent of PC users who, if they actually came out and said, "Oh no, we've had to scale back the plans and we're not having those lighting effects," they go, "Oh, well, that's shit, I'm boycotting it," and then they would buy it anyway. Because PC users regularly talk about boycotting things and then continue to buy them regardless.
We're good at that.
Pretty much. Okay, so who have we offended this week then? We've got PC users.
Oh god, not PC users. That's our readership. God damn it.
Alright, PC users are pretty masochistic anyway. I mean, you basically have to be to put up with Windows. They'll probably just think that it's funny.
I think I've offended Namco by saying they're incompetent or malicious.
You called them malicious, I called them incompetent.
All right. And of course, let's just put Valve on that list as well for their refund policy.
Yeah, and their dodgy regional pricing. Uplay, we kind of slagged off a bit there. How about Elite for having a really difficult docking mechanic 20 years ago?
I don't think that will quite hold up. I don't think we're going to really upset David Braben by saying, "Man, Elite's docking mechanic was quite hard 30 years ago."
I think when I spoke to him about it, he said yes, it was. So he's pretty much on board with that. Alright, well, is that the news? I don't know. Any more news? Anyone? Bad news? Mixed news?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything else much talking about this week.
I'm waiting on all this game developer conference stuff. But it's not really like if any games are going to be announced and stuff, but nothing's really happened much. They announced Unity 5, so if you're a game developer, that's interesting. But otherwise, not much. Alright, so games that we've been playing this week. Now, we were all supposed to play Titanfall. But then, terrible circumstances befell us, and I didn't get a copy due to boring reasons, which we probably won't go into. And then Paul had to do lots of side things. So Tim, you played Titanfall.
Oh, I can chip in here though, because I have played it. I did play for another 3 hours the other night.
Yeah, I mean,
well, I played the beta, so I played a couple of maps.
Peter's played it as well, and I mean, yeah, we've all played it, and in fact, we basically spent 30 minutes talking about it on a previous podcast.
Right, Tim, I want to pick you up on this. I want your opinion on the campaign mode, because I'll be brutally honest, I haven't read your review yet, which is really shoddy, but look, I know, but I want your opinion on it, because when I started playing it, I thought, oh, this is quite well done, but by about sort of six or seven in the campaign, I was thinking, this is quite shit.
It's most of the missions, though, isn't it? Aren't there only about 9?
Yeah, there are 9 missions, and then you can play it again as the other side to unlock the other Titan. Yeah, it's rubbish. The campaign is basically just 9 multiplayer matches, which are set and defined, and that's it. With some voiceovers going on in the background, which are really hilarious at some points, because you get sort of dying soliloquies from characters, except that you're not listening to them because you're shooting at some arsehole in a Titan.
It matters. Yeah, it matters not as well. It matters not what you do, right? You could be completely incompetent. It doesn't matter, right? You could stand there and go backwards and forwards on the spot just so you don't disconnect, and you're still going to finish the mission.
Yeah, it will. It doesn't matter whether you win or lose. You will always, whatever's supposed to happen next in the story will happen, which gets quite ridiculous at points. Sometimes it's understandable, like, you know, your ship's got to go to this place to refuel, and you know, if you win the mission, then okay, excellent, it refuels fully. If you fail the mission, then you barely got enough fuel. You know, that's okay, a little bit of context. But on the other hand, there's one mission where you've got to defend a base, and even if you manage it, you'll just be told, oh, some guys in the area you weren't defending have blown it all up. Next mission.
Yeah.
It's meant to be blown up, so whether you win or lose doesn't matter.
I would have loved to have seen them put a proper campaign, single player campaign in with this. It would have been quite nice. I kind of feel that it's real shortcut stuff. This, I mean, I know it just would have been nice.
It's sort of ironic because I know critics and people have been going, "Oh, why do you keep putting these shitty single player campaigns into Call of Duty and Battlefield and that?" But with the movement and the traversal, I kind of feel like some single player stuff might have been alright. So after yelling about wanting them removed, I might want one back now.
You would probably have been waiting for quite some time. I mean, if they were going to add in a single player campaign that actually made use of that, other than yet more map generation, you would probably have to work out a proper AI system for pilots, as opposed to grunts and spectres who just sort of run around on the ground, occasionally making their way to one of several predefined waypoints and possibly shooting at somebody on the way. I don't know. I mean, it's got the sort of mechanics that would work in a single player game, but single player was never the focus, and I can kind of understand the decision to skip over it.
But I would have liked it. I still would have liked to have had it.
I don't really care. I mean, I didn't mark it down for having no single player campaign because it didn't really bother me in the slightest. It probably would have been something I'd have played for 4 hours, gone, yeah, that was all right, and then I never would have touched it again in my entire life.
Do you think they should have done more with a multiplayer campaign, though?
Yeah, I do think that. I would have loved for the multiplayer campaign to be properly branching, even, something like that. There's different win-loss conditions. You know, just do something different with it than string together 9 matches with a flimsy plot.
And actually be able to fail. Might be quite nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to lose the mission because my team are arseholes and then have to just do that mission again and again and again until I come up against an enemy team that's rubbish. But it would have been nice to actually have a branching plot arc.
Because in some of the game modes, like attrition anyway, they're actually quite good when having a sort of loss condition, because you have the retreat back to the dropship segment, which is a really good way of doing, well, you didn't win, but now you can do this little extra bit and try and escape, and that's actually quite entertaining.
Yes, it is. I actually really like that. It's not just a case of, oh, no, they've got 300 points, everybody just stand still. No, the war's over, stand still.
Stop now.
It adds a little bit of... It adds a little something. Like when you're losing, you can think, oh, okay, you know what, I'll hang on to my Titan because I'm going to need that to get away.
But have you noticed, though, that actually when that happens, it goes, I'll get to the dropship, nobody gives a shit. Everyone just runs around shooting each other anyway. All the games I've played, nobody cares about escaping.
I didn't actually encounter that much. I mean, people shoot at each other, certainly, but that's because the aggressor team is trying to stop you from getting to the dropship, so you've kind of got to kill them if they get in your way.
Well, I think
most of the time, people make their way to that waypoint.
I think I was the only one that even bothered. Everyone else is just like still hopping in Titans, and it just all seemed a bit pointless. I think that the idea of that just wears off after a while. Probably the guys that have been playing it or have got level 79 or whatever they're on now, as opposed to my level 3 or whatever it was last night.
I'd probably disagree with that as well, because you actually get quite a lot of points for evacuating properly. No, I don't know. Loads of people, like every match, pretty much everyone congregates around there, whether they get into the dropship or not. They all head there. You'll have a couple of people who'll take their Titans there, and they'll hop out and leave the AI to use them, or they might try to destroy an enemy Titan before the dropship arrives, because otherwise it will blow up the dropship. I don't think I've ever had a game where everybody's ignored the dropship.
All the games that I played last night, I don't think anybody gave a toss.
Are you sure that this isn't just that you didn't notice that they were giving a toss?
No, they weren't giving a toss.
Like, rather than standing in an orderly queue on the rooftop, where it was coming, they were actually trying to defend the location from the enemies that were swarming you.
Maybe it's a German thing. There was a lot of Germans on last night.
Now, they'd definitely be queuing in an orderly fashion.
No, that's the Brits. The Brits would queue in an orderly fashion. Oh, excuse me. After you, sir.
Right, so that's the British and the Germans added to the list of people we've offended.
There's some kind of joke about leaving your sun towel on the dropship to be made here, I think, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. What else can I... What about the other maps, Tim? The ones that I didn't see in the beta, are they super amazingly great? Or about the same?
Yeah, actually, I can't think of any map that I outright despise. There is one map that I keep seeing over and over again. Like, every time I click to join a game, I will get that map.
The one with the sort of all the sand and the sort of zip wires. I quite like that.
Okay,
one.
That's about 6 of the maps, Paul. Could you narrow it down a bit?
No, well, they've got lots of flying things flying about.
Oh, right, Boneyard. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know I wasn't caring about the names. Just trying to get through them.
Do you think there should be a map voting thing? Because I've seen differing views on this. Some people think that would lead to the same goddamn maps being played every single time. Others think it would be a nice way to avoid annoying ones popping up. I guess it kind of depends who you're playing with. But
yeah, it's a bit of both, I guess. I thought about that. It would have been nice to have at least had the option. Like, when you click to join a game, you can actually choose what map you want. And then you'll stay on that server and rotate through. I mean, that would at least give you the option as well. If you really don't like a map, you can quit out and then choose a server with a map you do like, rather than just getting completely random luck of the draw.
So just like a kind of personal veto for yourself, saying, I don't want this particular map, I've seen it loads, give me something else, please.
Yeah, but I mean, even if it's only when you're about to join a game, because right now you basically click classic mode, which is the sort of standard multiplayer as opposed to campaign mode. Then you click the game type, and that is your entire contribution to the process. After that, you're just chucked onto a random server, which will be running a random map. It would have been nice to have, for instance, Being able to say, yeah, I want to play attrition mode, but I want to play on this map or this map or this map.
God,
and then it'll chuck you onto one of the servers running that map.
I tell you what, though, the wait times are just so annoying. I don't know if I'm just impatient, but you're sitting there for like 2 minutes, assuming you get a filled roster. And if not, I can go on bloody longer than that. I was having to sit for quite a while last night.
And you've had a completely different experience than me. I mean, you've got the 90-second wait time.
Yeah, that's 90 seconds of my life, which I'll never get back to.
Yeah, it's 90 seconds, which I'm usually spending trying to desperately work out which burn cards I want to use on the next one and setting up extra loadouts based on how my previous ones went. I've run out of time a few times trying to sort out my loadouts.
I was just amused at all the comments coming in on the chat window going like, how do I change my Titan? And you are a noob, and Alt F4 to change it.
Most of the chat in the chat window I've seen before I just mute everyone on the server at least is just racist and homophobic abuse.
So nothing changes there then in the chat windows.
No, I'm quite elated actually that it took me a grand total of it wasn't the very first match I was in that I started seeing that shit. It took me, I think, maybe I think it was on the third map before people started being ridiculously offensive to each other. I don't tend to see that much, but that might just be because I completely muted the voice options, so I can't hear people using voice chat.
That's why Peter should have got.
People do that.
That's why Peter should have got a copy. Could have gone and put his German towel joke in.
That's not. Come on, that's pretty low down the scale compared to the shit you get in internet games, online multiplayer.
Yeah, I think you'd probably
just. Tame.
You would probably just get lots of people not quite understanding what was meant by that.
Yeah, that's a joke from like the 90s. We don't. Who are you? You're old. Get out.
Yeah.
Oh well. What else can I ask about Titanfall? You had some issues, I guess, with the matchmaking, where there's been quite a few matches, I suppose, where it's sort of a mismatch. Did I read that right in your review?
Yeah. That happens more often in campaign mode. It's less of a problem in standard multiplayer, because in campaign mode, I might be wrong on this, but I don't think people can join matches in progress unless they've already finished the campaign, at which point they might be able to. But when you haven't finished the campaign yet, you can't join matches in progress, because you need to be there for the start so that you understand the story, because that's what matters.
Let me tell you the story. There's the militia and there's the other group, and they're having a fight. Am I about correct on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about 90% of the story. Although you've missed out the characters, obviously, because they're
the South African one.
Yeah, you've got the South African man, and you've got the girl, the obligatory girl.
Okay.
Who obviously is on the militia side because the IMC are patently evil.
Right.
It was really weird being forced to play as them first, actually. I don't know whether it's random as to which one you do first.
I'm playing as the militia first.
Okay, so I was playing as the IMC, and I get this, like, the second mission was enough to make me go, okay, yeah, they're evil. Can I play as the militia now? Because it's like you drop
why am I playing as these guys?
The very first thing you see is a group of soldiers executing civilians.
Lovely.
It's like, yeah, this is our side. We're the good guys.
Maybe they're really bad civilians. Maybe they've done some terrible things. Who knows?
From what I can gather, no, they were the innocents. It was just that they thought this village had some militia people hiding out in it, so we decided to just kill them.
Yeah,
it could be an allegory. That's deep, man.
No, it's not.
No, it's not at all. Alright, I can see. I realise we haven't sort of talked about the mechanics so much, but we did kind of talk about that quite a lot.
I just say I like them. I like them.
Yeah, me too. They're good.
The mechanics are excellent. The maps are really good as well. I like the beta was 2 maps, wasn't it? It was Angel City and another one, Fracture.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like the other maps. Like, they are really well designed. I can't think of a single one that I outright dislike. They all have something that I like about them. Some of them actually have some neat little features too. Like there's like gun turrets that you can capture and things like that. which aren't related to whatever goal you've got going on, but it's just another little focal point. And considering the maps are quite big, that's fairly useful.
You made a good point in the review. I thought that they've had to design the maps almost on 2 levels, because you've got to design it for the pilot, traversal, wall running, all that stuff, but you've also got to design it for when people are in Titans, which obviously you need bigger corridors of space and expanses to move around in. So
I was a little worried I was going into wanky game design sort of territory when I started talking about that, but it is true. I am actually really impressed with the map design. Like, not just from a playability standpoint of how much I enjoy the maps, but simply because of how much work must have actually gone in to create these huge interlinking maps. I mean, that's the thing. It's not even you're not even stuck to the ground because of all the mobility and traversal and whatnot. So some of the interior areas, you've also got like little vents or windows higher up, which will take you somewhere else.
I would say that I'd like to have seen more open space for some of the maps for the Titans, and dare I bring it up, pretty much like we had in Quake Wars, where you had quite big expansive areas where you could see somebody off from quite a distance, and yet there was still the sort of the building areas as well for the running about on feet. I still think it's a little bit claustrophobic as far as the Titan battles are concerned.
For a few maps, you're probably right. I'm not going to argue against that too much. I think that what they've got works well. But yeah, you're probably right in that they could likely have done a few maps that had much larger open expanses. I mean, that's not to say there aren't any big open expanses. There are some maps which do have a few really wide open areas, but even then there tends to be quite a lot of cover that can be used. Because that's the thing with the Titan combat, a lot of it's you need cover because you need to be able to hide behind things to recharge shields.
Yeah, I found that in the beta, you sort of think, oh, I've got this robot, I can just storm in and start punching things. But no, you've got to like duck behind, get your shield back, pop out, use your like vortex shield thing to try and block some stuff.
I was going to say actually, that's assuming that depends on your loadout a little bit.
Yeah,
if you don't have the vortex shield, one of the other things you can use to replace that is like a portable cover generator, which basically puts up this big shield in front of you, which is one directional. You can shoot through it, but the enemies can't shoot at you. There's some nice little surprises in with the kit. There's some cool little things in there. And the burn cards, my god, some of them break the game. There's one burn card. Peter, you know how much you liked stims as your... Instead of taking cloak, you liked stims, which gave you a nice speed boost and health regeneration. Yeah, one of the burn cards for 1 life gives you permanent stim.
Oh my god.
It's one of the... I think it's a rare burn card, so you're not going to come across them often, but god almighty, it's fun when you've got one of them.
Oh man, the thing is though, I would use that and then I'd get like shot immediately, because that's just inevitably what happens with one-use items with me. I like the concept though. I like that that's there.
Yeah, there are lots of little things like that with the burn cards. Like, there's loads that are just like amped versions of weapons that do more damage or whatever, but some of them do kind of change things up. There's another one which lets you respawn wherever you died, which again has interesting applications. Someone kills you and you wait for them to go away and then spawn back 5 seconds later and run after them.
That's also going to be good for like the point defense type mode, because you could be hanging out on point A, get killed, and then, oh, no, I'm here again.
Yeah.
Ta-da!
For my next trick, I will kill you.
I'm a little bit sad that sort of a lot of the weapons, smart pistol aside, tend to stick to the usual established weapons conventions in terms of, okay, you've got the assault rifle, and you've got the burst rifle, and the SMG, and the shotgun. And the sniper rifle, but yeah, with the burn cards and a lot of the loadout items, they have done something a fair bit different, I suppose.
Yeah, it is sort of interesting that it's the future, but the only new weapon they've developed is the smart pistol. They've spent all their time making massive robots with amazing shields and stuff.
There are
for guns. Oh, I don't know, like a submachine gun or something. That'll be fine.
There are a couple of other things, like there's one of the Titan weapons that charges up when you zoom in. Like you can fire it at minimum power just by left clicking, but if you actually zoom in, this little battery indicator grows and it does a hell of a lot more damage. There's another one which is kind of a lightning gun which you charge up, and if you hit someone with it, the lightning then arcs off to the nearest targets as well. So they have done clever things with that. It's just the infantry weapons which are very standard, mostly. There are a couple of exceptions, but yeah, for the most part, they are the default.
Yeah.
But for the most part, yeah, I really like Titanfall. Which quite surprises me. Like I think I mentioned in the review, with multiplayer games, I will tend to play them a bit and then stop and not touch them again for ages. But this is kind of an exception. I actually want to go back and play this, even though I have nobody to play with except for Paul. There's normally with multiplayer, I prefer to play with people I know, but with this I don't really care. I just want to hop back in and run along some walls and shoot people.
Get some racist abuse.
Yeah. Well, not so much.
That's just an unfortunate side effect. I think in the text chat was disabled in the beta, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Which I have to say was fantastic.
That's why there's no
it really
chat.
was. It was really nice.
It was good. I mean, voice chat was on, but you just go into the options and set the voice audio to 0.
Yeah.
Which I've done in this, and not a lot of people seem to be using the text chat, so that's good.
I'm not saying you should remove text chat entirely, but maybe have a similar option where it's just like, no, don't want to see any of that shit, thanks. Turn it off. And then bring it back if you want to use it as a group or whatever.
Yep.
Paul, played anything this week?
Yeah,
Big
Titanfall.
revelatory games to tell us about?
Titanfall and a little bit more of Nosgoth, which I'll be doing more on tonight. I was supposed to have something at the end of the last week, but I've been delayed. So I'm going to go back in. I just want to check some stuff on the microtransactions, but yeah, that's ongoing. But I will be back in that tonight. And then what else have I got on my cards? I don't know.
EverQuest Landmark, Paul.
Oh yes, that's the other one. The chippy away at the stuff and build shit.
So, Peter, how's Dark Souls 2?
Oh, I wish it was in a higher frame rate and a nicer resolution. But
Actually, that's a fair question. Does it actually have on the console toys? Does it have the same frame rate options that the same frame rate problems that the original did?
Actually, no, the 360 version is holding a pretty stable.
Whoa! We don't want to hear this shit.
Yeah, we want to hear about Dark Souls 2.
No, it's consoles. Consoles are bad, evil.
Paul, you can just fuck off. I want to hear about Dark Souls 2.
Well, you two can have a nice little Dark Souls 2 loving when this is finished.
It's pretty stable at like 30 some frames. It's got some screen tearing.
La 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 la.
What'll be weird is playing it at 60 frames per second, because I played through all of the first one at 30 on PC, and then the mod obviously allows you to unlock it to 60, and I played it a bit at 60, and it's like, this is a bit weird, because I'm used to all the animations and stuff being at 30. It's like, this is going to take a bit of getting used to. So while it's better, it's kind of strange, I think, because I played it for like 50 hours straight, and then switching obviously to double the frame rate is a bit jarring. Dark Souls 2 is really good. It's going to be really good on the PC as well. It's I haven't played Demon's Souls, but I've seen a lot of people saying it's a bit of a mix of Demon's Souls and Dark Souls, in terms of you've got this kind of central hub area now, which I believe you had in Demon's Souls, not so much in Dark, where you have to go back to level up each time. You can now warp immediately from bonfires when you find them, which you might think is going to make it easy, but no, not really. It doesn't make it easy, particularly.
I would really love that option right now, where I am in Dark Souls. Just because getting out of fucking anal rodeo is taking me forever every time I want to attempt it.
Anal rodeo.
You know what I'm talking about,
That's
Peter.
no way to speak about Anor Londo, Tim.
That place is hell.
Are you at Ornstein and Smough yet? Because that's the best part of Anor Londo.
No, I'm still at the bit where I have to walk along a tiny fucking ledge while archers shoot ballistas at me.
Oh, nice. I won't spoil Dark Souls 2, but it's very good. It's a Souls game. You'll have a good time with it. Trust me.
So when you go back to this hub area, I mean, is it? I would assume that all the other areas you kind of walk to get everywhere else, unless you walk from bonfire to bonfire. This hub area doesn't have big portals leading to different regions.
No, it's from the well, you actually don't start at the hub area. You start on a sort of branch off it, which has a bit of a tutorial bit to go through. Then you reach the main hub, and the main hub, yeah, you can walk to. There are at least 2 directions you can go to start with. A third one opens up pretty quickly.
That sounds very Dark Souls, actually.
And then each of those branches kind of has further stages off it. It's not quite as interlinking as Dark Souls, the first Dark Souls, but the areas that you get to have similar sort of shortcut opening mechanics within them.
I suppose it doesn't need to be that interlinking if you've got bonfire walking from the very beginning. No, I was just thinking that does remind me of Dark Souls in terms of you start off being able to go either towards the catacombs or towards the undead berg, and if you've got the master key or you're later on, you can also go to New Londo.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Demon Souls, you basically, once you've finished the first proper level, I think you could go to any one of like 4 or 5 different worlds by walking through portals.
This one's kind of different from the first in that there is an area that you obviously should be gravitating towards, but it's not quite as stark as like, no, don't go to the graveyard, you'll just die horribly. The other option that is open to you is doable if you're skillful enough. So it's a little nicer.
I don't know whether I like that idea or not. Because on the one hand, I like the idea that if I get really stuck in one area, I can probably just piss off and find somewhere else to go and play. But on the other hand, does that mean that if I just went down one path for a while and then came back and did the other path, I would just walk through the first area?
Yes, if you'd like upgraded all your stuff.
I'm just thinking, because I did, when I wandered away from Anor Londo, I did wander into the graveyard briefly and just one-shotted all of the skeletons in there, which made quite a difference from when I wandered in there as a new character.
I mean, right now I've got like 3 different areas I could be doing. I've got a boss in another area that I kind of haven't done yet that I could probably go back to and open up something else. So that's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. Looking forward to the PC version. It's going to be good.
I'm probably looking forward to it more than you, if only because I don't have a console version of Dark Souls 2 to play. I'm kind of tempted to try playing Dark Souls with mouse and keyboard, actually, now that I have a mouse which has, like, 9 buttons on it.
Yeah, well, they've said that the mouse and keyboard controls will be better in the PC one this time around. So.
I'm just thinking, because I've got a mouse with, a ridiculous number of buttons on it, I could probably, with some clever key binding, sort that out a fair bit. I could have blocks set to the thumb, for instance. I don't know. I might give it a go at some point, but for the time being, I'm content to play it with gamepad. Hi, kitty!
Oh, the cat! There's a cat present on the podcast. Only in visual form, folks. If you're listening on audio, just have to imagine a cat in Paul's arms there. I'll talk more about Dark Souls 2 when it's actually out on PC and stop infuriating Paul.
I'm trying to finish the first one before the second one comes out. I think I'll probably manage it unless I get distracted.
Yes, I did that as well. What else? We're about the hour mark, so I played Van Helsing 2. Yeah, there's a preview of that up on the site.
Yeah, so just quickly, Peter, what is your impression of that right now?
Van Helsing 2?
Yeah.
The preview is a little weird because it's quite small and quite short, and has quite a lot of placeholder stuff in it. So I wasn't overly impressed. I mean, the end of the first game became a bit of a slog. They took the route of just going like, have like 1 million enemies because you're level 30 now. So like every 2 steps you'd have about 20 people running at you, which got a bit tiresome. And the place it drops you into in this preview build is a bit similar to that, because it also, it starts you off at level 30, or you can import your character from the other game. There will be a sort of new game minus option, they call it, where you can do like level 1 to 30 in part 2 if you like. And yeah, like the loot I was finding and the items I was finding were very placeholdery. They didn't have art yet. They were called like VH2 cloak, VH2 boots, and I didn't find anything that was better than the stuff I already had. So it's a bit underwhelming there. But
it's difficult to actually judge the quality of it, even remotely.
Yeah, because it's clearly unfinished in that respect. The sort of the kind of whimsical, silly tone is still there. There's some quite good side quests and stuff. The banter between yourself and your ghost pal is still intact, which is good. So yeah, in a way, it was difficult to gauge a concrete reaction from that build, just because the sort of important parts of the game, don't seem to be fully in place yet, which I guess is a bit of a worry if it's out in like a month. But that also might have been a build that they made ages ago to give to people to play through. So
yeah,
I'm not too
one
worried.
One of the previous builds that they know is actually really stable and won't just crash every half an hour.
Yes, exactly. So otherwise, pretty similar to the first game. You've got a couple of other classes to choose from now, the ones that they added retrospectively through DLC. So you've got the arcane mechanic and the one I can't pronounce, who's basically a magician. I think he's a thaumaturge or something. Or whatever, I don't know.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, so they give you a few more character build options, some spells, and like static turrets and stuff that you can drop down, which is cool and interesting. So yeah, and that's read the preview on the site. What else can you read on the site? You can read Tim's Titanfall review. That's also on the site. You can read my Tower of Guns review from last week, and I guess you could read Tim's early impressions of Titanfall as well, although I'd pretty much just read the review instead.
Yeah, I kind of go over some of the same ground again. The early impressions were based more on sort of the launch experience, i.e. whether it was a good port or not.
Which is important with games like SimCity and Battlefield 4 out there.
I'm happy to announce that yes, it is a good port and it actually works.
Right.
Yeah, it's great.
Unusual, sadly, but good. Coming up then, I think you're playing Luftrausers at the moment, right, Tim?
I am. So we'll have a review of that. I don't know when we're going to run that, actually. It will probably be up around the same time as the podcast. I'm not sure.
Cool.
I don't know. Got anything else? Well, I don't know how we've got things scheduled for the rest of the week.
Maybe some hot Nosgoth action at some point.
Yeah, Nosgoth will definitely be done.
With Valve's free-to-play movie out soonish, I'll probably write something about that once I've watched it as well.
Will you get Mark Kermode to guest on the podcast to talk about the free-to-play movie?
Oh, just actually some news that we missed off earlier. The Diablo 3 auction house has closed today.
Oh wow!
That
and SimCity going offline on the same day.
Yeah,
that's kind of
that is it. It is gone, and we're a week away from the Reaper of Souls launch, so everything is changing. I thought maybe next week actually we might get Flux from the Diablo IncGamers site to come on the podcast and just talk a little bit about what's changed in the game and how it's improved and so on. It might be quite a good little segment to do because it's quite a big week for that next week.
Absolutely. He can stick around for the whole podcast. We can have him have his opinions on other PC stuff. Does he play other PC games?
No, he just plays Diablo. That's it.
Just Diablo. Okay.
No, seriously, he lives it.
Fair enough. That's why he's an expert on the subject, I would imagine. I can't think of what else might be coming up, but other things on the sites, obviously. And next week we'll be back with another podcast. Don't forget Facebook and Twitter. those things that you should sign up for and like us on, probably.
Yeah, I'll probably have some keys to give away for bits and pieces on Facebook and stuff this week, so keep an eye on that.
Hey, there you go. You're in with a good chance. Yep, we'll be back again next week with more podcasting. Goodbye.
Bye.